Welcome to the Friday edition of One's World, and we're going back on our travels today. I'm going to take you to Myanmar and to a trip I took maybe 5 years ago, don't remember exactly. I was teaching in Mandalay, and the head of the school that I was teaching at said, why don't we spend the weekend at Inle Lake? So happy to oblige. We took a flight down from Mandalay because it's a long drive, and on the first day, the Saturday, we drove around a lot, and then on the Sunday we took a boat trip on Inle Lake, and that's my subject for today. Now here you can see us getting into the boat and chugging along up a canal towards Inle Lake. Inle Lake is actually long and thin, and it's got a ton of things of interest along the way. The first thing to note, and I'll see if I can produce this in various pictures, is that the boatmen who mostly do fishing on the lake. They also do some guiding, but mostly they're fishermen. They have a particularly odd way of paddling their boats. They attach a paddle to one of their legs, and they kind of scoot their leg around and push the boat along that way. It's hard to describe, and I don't have any videos of it, but I'll certainly produce some images. And then along the way we stopped at a number of places, because Inle Lake is not just home to various artisans and communities, it's also a tourist center. So we stopped, for example, at a factory that produces textiles from lotus fiber, and they showed us how they extract the lotus fiber, how they turn it into weavable threads, how they dye it, and so on. And then we also stopped at a blacksmith who produced an awful lot of different metal objects, mostly for tourists, I think, but also for pagodas. They produced bells and ornaments and one thing and another. And then we went to a pagoda that is right in the middle of the lake, and sauntered around for various reasons, taking photos, usual kind of pagoda stuff. You'll see it here, Buddhas and whatnot. And then we had lunch, and lunch was very interesting. It was described to me as typical of the ethnic group that lives on Inle Lake, which is not Burman. Myanmar is a curious agglomeration of multiple ethnicities, causing all kinds of political problems right now. Some of you may know about the Rohingya, for example, the Muslim minority that have been persecuted by both the government and by Buddhist monks, including monks I've actually seen carrying rifles and intimidating people. Very, very strange. Anyway, this lunch was supposedly typical of the ethnic group that live on Inle Lake, with some fish, of course, and various pickles and side dishes and rice and so forth. And then we journeyed on, and we stopped at a monastery. Very strange place. It had some icons and sculptures and so forth of the Buddha and whatnot, but most of it was just kind of stripped bare, very ascetic. I was told that it's typical of a certain sect of the Theravada Buddhists, but I don't know an awful lot about it. But it was an interesting place, certainly, nonetheless, and again took a lot of photos. And then we journeyed on back, and now here's a picture of the waiting room for the airline to get out, which is very curious. I mean, the security was non-existent. You could get in and out just by walking onto the runway, even though we officially went through metal detectors and all that kind of thing, but there were people just wandering in and out, and we eventually got on our plane on that Sunday and ended up back in Mandalay. So I hope you enjoyed this. Here's another picture of some Burman food. And meanwhile, please like, please subscribe, please tell your friends. Have them also post my videos on their Facebook pages or websites or whatever. And let's just help my my algorithm along a little. And I'll see you for some Cambodian recipes on Tuesday. Have a great weekend.